What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new episode review as we're set to get into The Penguin, episode number 2 of this limited series coming to us from the world of Matt Reeves and his Batman epic crime saga, if you will. Episode number 2, man. Look, episode 1 got rave reviews. A bunch of people sat down and certainly watched it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think episode 2 did relatively well also, actually probably drawn in more viewers certainly this time around. So a lot of people are certainly enjoying this series, and so am I too, man. It's they definitely have handled this certainly with care. I'm not quite exactly sure who the showrunner is of this particular series, but kudos to Matt Reeves for attaching the right person to tell this incredible story in here, because they've managed to make some really compelling characters, and I find myself absolutely floored with both Colin Farrell and Kristen Milioti playing both Oswald Cobb along with Sofie Falcone in here. I mean, they've been blowing me away with their performances, and just their stories have been really enjoyable. To be quite honest, really enjoyable as well. To be quite honest with you guys, but let's go ahead and talk about episode number 2, man, because this one certainly didn't let up. But I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about it most is I love how the Penguin just manages to weasel and weave his way between these two big mob families, and he does it brilliantly. I do think that's one of the aspects about the Penguin character that I have really come to enjoy, is that um, some may not think that he's the smartest person in the room, but it definitely feels like he is, or that he's just that quick-witted in the sense of being able to really change course quickly and make the right calls when he absolutely needs to. Because I definitely feel like within the first 2 episodes here, there are certainly moments where he finds his back against the wall and just barely manages to squeak by with a well thought out plan, whether that be before or literally like before things went down, or literally having to kind of call a little bit of an audible in here. And I love the fact that that's sort of his message by the end of this episode, like when we see him scolding Vic at the end, letting him know, like, look, you got to be one step ahead, or if not, you're gonna be the one that's in the grave. And so I kind of appreciated the idea of like forcing this kid into the grave and this stand to lay next to these bodies to really get a sense of how real the situation is. And clearly he lives by the messages and the advice that he's certainly trying to give. And so the fact that we get to see that side of Oswald in that quick-wittedness, being able to come up with a game plan, having a plan B, maybe even a plan C in case the other ones kind of fall through, or making it up on the spot. His ability to be able to do that, I think, is certainly what separates him from the rest of the mob families in here. And the fact that he is definitely walking sort of this fine line of not only just trying to cover up the fact that he killed Alberto, but also trying to weasel his way to the top and really working sort of both families. And so it is a really fascinating um, character that they've really put together on screen in here. And they even continue to build up Oz with things like the relationship between him and his mother. After I finished recording episode 1, it is something that my episode 1 review, it is something that I felt like I missed out on, that I was like, man, we probably should have talked about it, because his relationship with his mom is such a fascinating dynamic. Yeah, I can't remember what his relationship was like in the comics with his mother. I'm trying to remember if it was something like Gotham that was suggesting that he had like an unhealthy relationship with like his mom, or like a really terrible codependency sort of situation with his mom. Or maybe I'm thinking about another villain, or whatever the case may be. But I did find it fascinating, his relationship with his mom. We come to find out that she in fact does have dementia. So the idea that she mentioned something in last week's episode about having the bathtub water running because the boys had did that, or the boys had left something in the tub, or whatever the case may be. Certainly referencing the brothers of Oswald, who certainly passed away a long time ago. So the fact that she brought them up in episode one, and then clearly finding herself roaming away from the house here in episode two, I love the fact that that at least gave us that little bit of insight in regards to the struggles that she definitely has. But it's a really fascinating relationship between him and his mom. I mean, the way that she talks to him at times, right? She had a couple of lines in here. Um, was it last week? She says, "What are you, a pussy boy?" or something along those lines, right? Kind of egging him on, kind of trying to make him, talk about the idea of like, no son of mine is going to be some pussy boy sort of thing, right? Trying to toughen him up, that tough love sort of mentality of of somebody from that generation. She also says, in this episode, if my son's a nothing, what am I? Right? It's and that shame that she puts on her son, the way that she like brings him down sort of a peg, I'm sure it definitely sort of motivates him and pushes him, but certainly in not like the healthiest way possible. You know what I mean? It's got to be just the most toxic and abusive sort of thing you could possibly imagine. And with it being his mom, he's not going to yell back at his mom, right? Like he's just going to take it, and use that for himself, really, as sort of the motivation that he needs to provide for his mom, because he clearly wants to provide for his mom, and he's clearly doing everything that he can, but just with the shape that she's in. And this feels almost like this has been his whole childhood. Like this is how he's kind of been raised, by this type of mother, and it's probably gotten worse for her in her dementia. But so it's interesting to kind of see him navigate that, clearly love her, but the codependency that he seems to have on his mom, or in the sense that the way that his mom projects herself, seems to me, at least, in the sense that um there's definitely more going on with what his past was like when it comes to him and his mom. And so I am really fascinated to kind of see how that story plays itself out. I mean, even when he's talking to somebody like Sophia, and he's talking about his past and brings up his family and stuff, I mean, he does not even miss a beat when he talks about the idea of his mom being gone already, right? Like, oh, she passed. Um, but so he's clearly hiding the fact that her mom is alive. Probably just the one to kind of go ahead and certainly keep her safe in case shit really hits the fan for Oswald at some point in time. The last thing he needs is people knowing that his mom is certainly still alive out there. And so I just found it fascinating that she's the one that gives him sort of like this really toxic motivation, in the sense of episode one, telling her son, like, I bet it was probably instinctual, you probably did it on instinct because that's who you are, right? In the sense of killing Alberto Falcone, like really trying to boost him up. I don't want to say into something that he's not, but she definitely feels like at times she's certainly pulling the strings of Oswald, but he's going along with it because he clearly loves his mother, and wants to achieve greatness. And when you got somebody talking like that in your ear, your own little personal hype man, yeah, man, it's gonna make you feel powerful enough to do anything in the world, especially if it's your mom. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoyed what we got here from Oz, and getting an opportunity to certainly see what he's capable of being able to think on his feet and maneuver, whether that be working for Sal, or now really getting what he wants by the end of this, and working with Sophia. He's been planting the seeds. He's done everything that he's needed to do to kind of clear away his name, and now he's got sort of Sophia on his side. So what is he going to be working with, Sophia and Sal, trying to work behind the scenes for both of them, and kind of screw them over and take that place? That's interesting. But I will tell you, by the end of this episode, I think that is one deadly couple, just with Sophia being the type that would just like flip on a dime sort of thing, just lose her shit at the end of the day. She's really intuitive, though. She's really able to pick up on BS really well, and then you align her and tag team her with somebody like Oswald, who not only thinks on his feet but comes up with great plans. Has always got an A, B, and C plan ahead, and thinks ahead sort of thing. That's a really deadly duo. Like if the Penguin really wanted to turn on Sal and just work with Sophia, like I would not blame him whatsoever. But she's probably definitely a liability to certainly say the least. But I like the duo. I like the duo that we have formed here. It looks like they're ready to roughshod all over Gotham City. So we got what, 4 more episodes left. So we'll see where these two characters are at by the end of this season. But Christine Miliani as Sophia just continues to win me over week to week, man. I absolutely love the way that this episode started. I thought this was certainly going to be a flashback sort of thing, but this quickly turned into being one of her nightmares, or at least one of her visions that she was kind of seeing being put into this weird trance by what I would think would be like her psychiatrist or somebody that she's been assigned to kind of help her after her being let out of Arkham. And so I do love the way that they kind of put us into her mind, and the grief that she's certainly feeling from the loss of her brother in here. So I thought that was really eye opening to kind of see just what not only she's dealing with mentally, but how she's also handling it, and just where her mental state is. Like the fact that we get revealed that she's got some level of psychiatrist that, I don't know, the way that he was like holding on to her, like, look, maybe that's a technique that you want to use, but it seems like you're getting pretty close to your clients here, bro. And so the way that she looks at him towards the end, it does make me wonder, are there feelings? Have there been things there? The actor that plays the psychiatrist, I think his name is Theo Rossi or something like that. I don't necessarily think you just get him to be a psychiatrist. I think you get him because there's a deeper layer between these two. I'm talking about like Theo as an actor. It feels like maybe there's a bigger role here for the psychiatrist, or more to certainly be revealed. So we'll see if there's an intimacy level there. But he definitely was trying to help her for sure. But to what extent? But anyway, when it comes to Sophia, though, I do love the idea that we get to learn more about her in here also. The concept of being referred to as the Hangman, the fact that she was a serial killer, killed 7 women. I love the line that she gives the psychiatrist in here when he says, like, you're safe. He's trying to reassure her. And I love where she says, I'm not safe. I'm home. And it's just kind of crazy to me, because really home is where you should feel the safest at. And she knows that, especially living in her particular family and the world that she lives in. Being home just means like you can die at any time. Like there's always somebody out for your head, and all the crap that she's got to deal with. So I love that line of I'm not safe, I'm home, because it just sounds like a complete oxymoron there. But her getting an opportunity to see how people talk about her, overhear people's whispering about her, the dirty looks that she gives. Like I can't imagine, like, just I love the idea that they try to bring us into Sophia's world in here, and the things that she not only deals with on like a daily basis, but how does she certainly navigate all these feelings of feeling rejected, being talked about, and then having to go down the dealing with the grief and the loss of her brother sort of mentality. So this definitely felt very much like an introspective view of what it is that Sophia really has to kind of deal with, and the struggles of her really wanting to have a bigger role in the family business. Feels that she certainly is more powerful and deserving of the situation, and yet her uncle, like it goes from the father to the son to the uncle. Like they really, we're talking Game of Thrones level type of stuff here, right? And Christine's trying to certainly get on the throne herself, and the fact that they just continue to disrespect her that way, she picks up on all of it, and she goes along with it. But I love the fact that by the end of this episode, you can definitely tell that she certainly has had enough of it. And I think Christine as Sophia just emotes so incredibly well. She knows how to go from the smile to the like I really want to kill you kind of face, to the straight no emotion side of things, to the crazy ex-girlfriend big eye kind of stare. Like she can literally go through all these different level of emotions that just make her come across as unstable as you could possibly imagine. So that it's that instability and that sort of, what are you going to get? Like anytime she's on screen, she immediately has a presence, and you literally have this like tense situation of not knowing what direction or mindset she's going to be at all times. And the fact that she's able to present that to me as like a viewer when she's around other characters, I can see why somebody like Oswald is always sort of on his toes and being very careful about sort of what he says, because She just has this presence about her that she brings to the screen. And so I think this show has been doing incredible wonders, to be quite frank with you. Great soundtrack, great quality, great characters, great story so far. And I'm really eager to kind of see how Penguin finds himself really at the top of the heap, hopefully, by the end of this limited series. If anything, I will say, I do think that this limited series is certainly drawing more attention to the Penguin. He's becoming a bigger character. I would assume that his roles would just continue to get bigger. How big of a role he's going to have in something like the Batman Part 2, who certainly knows, but I definitely expect him to have a role. And even though this is meant to be a limited series, maybe people love this show so much, they ask for a season 2, and maybe Matt Reeves tries to create something between a Batman Part 2 and Part 3. Who certainly knows? That's just my own speculation, but episode 2 in the can. Continuing to love this series, man. But at the end of the day, these are simply my A+ opinions. I want to know yours. Look, if there's anything that I missed that you guys want to further go ahead and talk about, let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below, and we'll definitely continue to have this conversation until next week's episode. But until then, do me a big favor, y'all. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.